Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today, we're jumping into some malicious compliance. Before we start, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's completely free and you can always change your mind later, but please don't, I need you. Our first story today comes to us from Timothy53, my first boss, and how he got the whole team every certification available. Let's jump right in. When I turned 14 years old, I got my first summer job and had one of the best bosses I'd ever had. I recently found out that, unfortunately, my mentor and someone I would consider a friend, John, passed away. Although it's been well over 20 years, I still use the lessons learned and the work ethic he passed on to me. Although at times, he could be hard, he was more than fair and always did the right thing for those that worked for him. This is the story of John versus the new president. Before I get into the story, I need to give some background and context on John. John was the textbook all-American boy. John had attended a prestigious boarding school somewhere in New England, and eventually attended Yale back in the late 50s or 60s, and was not only a scholar, but a three-sport athlete. He played football, he boxed, and was a captain on the track and field team. Fast forward to when this story takes place, and John was still in phenomenal shape for a late 60s, early 70s man. John opted to move out to the country, start a family to follow his passion, which was teaching at the local high school, and coaching high schoolers in various sports. Obviously, he was the high school football coach, taught track and field. He was an outstanding shot put athlete and could run the mile and many other long distances. As a teacher, he had the summers off and became a lifeguard at the local town beach, eventually becoming the captain of the lifeguards. Over time, he developed standards for the town, county, and state lifeguards to pass. He really transformed what was a ragtag style of lifeguards into a full-fledged official lifeguard corps, training academy, and set the standards for what is still used today. John was eventually hired to run the lifeguards and manage an entire private beach club instead of working for the town beach. One of the biggest challenges of this, since it was a private beach club, John now reported into a president of the beach club who oversaw how things were run. I started working for John as a helper on the beach and then eventually a lifeguard, and for the first couple of summers, things were great. The president of the beach club took pride in having the best staff and making sure that lifeguards were well paid, and to his credit, safety was the utmost priority. This private beach club certainly catered to the more wealthy clientele who wanted a nicer club instead of going to the public beach. Some of the advantages were the amenities, which were lockers, cabanas, private parking, a very nice restaurant that served great food and drinks. This was one of the few beach clubs that also had the ability to serve alcoholic beverages. One of the good things John had instituted was that any returning member of the staff from the previous summers automatically got a raise. This ensured that staff returned the next summer, avoiding a lot of retraining, and as you can imagine, growing pains with the new staff. What was even better was that if you returned multiple summers, you still got an additional raise. Most summers, this was $1 or $2. As an example, I started at $7.25 at 14 years old. This was back in the late 90s, and by the time I was in college, I was making almost $15 an hour. Typically, the president of the club serves a term which is a few years, and when his term was up, a new president was ushered in. Upon taking office, the new president loudly proclaimed that he wanted to ensure that the club had a fiscal responsibility, and he would be personally going over the books with a fine-tooth comb. His first order of business was to cut everyone's pay all the way back to minimum wage and fire most of the lifeguards. Now, as noted above, the staff was there for a long time, knowing most of the members and how to run the place. Prior to the start of the summer, upon learning that their hourly wage would be cut, most of the senior staff immediately left and were quickly hired elsewhere. The lifeguards were spared at the appeal of John to ensure safety. Although some senior guards left for other beaches and pools, John was able to convince the lifeguards as he would take care of things. On to the malicious compliance. While John agreed to have the staff take the pay cut, he convinced the new president that any lifeguards with additional certifications would get $2 an hour on top of the base minimum wage. The new president obviously didn't consider that any of these lifeguards would put in the effort, or if it was feasible to get any certifications in time for the summer season, and he agreed to the plan. As you can imagine, John basically established the process and curriculum for becoming a lifeguard, and personally trained and hired most, if not all of the trainers in the town and county. John was also a volunteer fireman and knew all the EMS personnel, and not surprisingly, had either taught them in school or hired them as lifeguards in their past lives. John quickly called in favors from every trainer and certifier across the county, who were more than happy to repay all the favors John had done for them in the past. Most waived the training fees and expedited the training sessions for the lifeguards, and they wanted to promote safety for the community. Prior to the start of the Memorial Day weekend and what is effectively the unofficial start of summer, all of us lifeguards and new staff became certified in pretty much every single possible certification that existed at the time. I mean, I'm talking crazy complete overkill and unnecessary certifications for a regular lifeguard. We got trained as either EMS and EMTs. Although lifeguards had to be certified in CPR, we retrained and got our CPR certifications again. Life-saving ocean and pool rescue techniques, certified swimming instructor, certified food inspector, the club had a kitchen, certified county pool operator license, certified sanitary inspector cleaning the bathrooms. We even had one guy who wanted to learn how to scuba. The county's firefighters had a water rescue team who coincidentally were certified scuba instructors. Most of us guards become certified divers, open water divers, deep water rescue divers, the whole works. I could go on and on about all the certifications we got. The lifeguards not only went back to their original wage, but in most cases went well above what their previous wages were. At 18 years old and back in the 90s, I personally went from making $15 an hour to $27 an hour, all due to the certifications and trainings. It took a month or so for the fallout to happen. While the new president tried to renege on the deal, John was smart enough to have a formal arrangement in place, and there was nothing the new president could do, besides complain about it. He wound up resigning his position to spend more time with his family at the beach. We rarely saw him around that summer, and I think he eventually stopped coming altogether, opting to join another club. John made nice with the new president and explained his philosophy on training and keeping staff. The new president agreed, and some of the senior staff wound up coming back with the promise of their original wage. A few weeks ago, I heard from friends and former colleagues that just at the start of the summer season, John passed away in his sleep of natural causes at the ripe age of 91. He was still working, although not as much as in the past. It was more of an I want to keep busy type of thing than a need to work. Every morning he would take out the lifeguard's rowboat and get some exercise in. After all, he was a certified rowing instructor. Rest in peace, John. You were the best. So it sounds to me like John was the kind of person when asked what certifications he has, he could literally just say, yes. Now, OP added an edit in the comment section for this one. It says, another quick story I just remembered about John. Later in life, he really got into golf. And being the natural athlete he was, he got really good. He went from never playing golf to being a scratch handicap in a few years. He also refused to join a country club and only liked to play at the local public golf course with his teacher friends, lifeguards obviously, and the volunteer firemen. He eventually became the golf pro due to his charismatic nature and obviously his ability on the course. I asked him why he wanted another job, and he said, well, I get to play for free now. You could find John most of the week at the golf course, either in the pro shop, on the course, or if it was later in the day and hot out, at the halfway house, having a turkey on rye with onion and a cold beer. Another golf-related story, he let some of the scuba guys go diving in the various lakes for golf balls, which they cleaned and resold for quite a profit. All they had to do was give John a few of his favorite brand, which I believe were Titleist 2s. So I understand that John had friends and they got a lot of the fees for the certifications waived, but what this story also doesn't really say is that these people put in a lot of time to actually pass these certifications, regardless of whether they were paying for them or not, and that's pretty neat. OP even mentioned that they leveraged their certified pool operator license to get another job later in life. That is really cool. Not only was John a jack of all trades, but he did something that got a lot of people further ahead in life. And for that, there's even more respect for John. This next story comes to us from Furathilian. Do some soul searching? Okay, let's jump right in. I've been waiting to share this story for a while. Enjoy. I started working for a company as an administrative assistant, purchasing office supplies, routing paperwork, coordinating meetings, etc. A person on my team left, so I picked up their duties while my boss looked for a replacement. The interview process for the replacement started in March 2020, but it was not completed due to the pandemic. I continued to cover both jobs easily, since my original position did not have a lot of work to be completed while working from home. My boss compensated me for the extra work at a 10% salary increase, and all was going well. As we navigated the pandemic and realized how to work efficiently from home, my positions picked up more and more duties. I was designated as the executive assistant to my boss's boss's boss, which added an additional part-time position to my role. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I was not happy doing the work of 2.5 people and bringing in a measly 10% salary increase. I started discussing growth options with my boss last September. She asked me to put together a justification document as to why I deserved a growth path and promotion. I put something together within a few weeks. Doing 2.5 jobs kept me really busy, and sent it to her. We discussed it at our next get-together, and she said she'd have to discuss it with her boss. Next time we met, she asked me to put together another document on where I saw myself in 5 years. Okay, I put that together and sent it. Next time we met, she asks me to put together another document on the justification. I told her I was not going to keep pursuing these tasks if they aren't getting us anywhere. She said she'd discuss this with her boss. We're in February at this point, and I'm getting tired of being strung along when my boss finally sets up a meeting between her boss, and me. We met. I voiced my frustrations. They give me reasons as to why I am not entitled to a promotion. My boss said she already told me the reasons, but this was new information to me, and encouraged me to do some soul searching. I start soul searching. Am I really happy in this role? No. Do I feel supported by my boss or upper management? No. Why do I want to stay here if I know I'm not going anywhere career-wise? Beats me. I start applying to different jobs within the company and externally as well. I'm still working towards a promotion with my current position, but I can't get my boss to give me any timelines or solid process to follow. We're now into April and have gotten nowhere. She is now asking me to look into different options other than a promotion, which do not follow the original path I wanted. The promotion would allow me career growth options in my current positions. Pursuing the other paths led nowhere. I interview for a position internally under a different supervisor. While I wait to hear back on that interview, I have concluded that I am no longer interested in the promotion. It was now May, and we were still at square one. My boss sets up a meeting with HR to discuss what needs to be done for a promotion, which I feel like should have been done in September when we started this whole process. My boss made a comment that she never knew the process fully and wants to follow all the rules. Great. We've been wasting my time for the last 9 months. Fantastic. Finally, some good news for me. I got the job. As soon as I knew I had the job, I told my supervisor I was resigning. She was dumbfounded. She made comments about how we could have moved past the problems we faced. We were working towards a promotion, blah blah blah, I don't care. Everybody who interacted with my supervisor during my 2 weeks notice said she was grouchy and didn't want to talk about my departure. She now had to figure out how to complete my 2.5 duties while finding my replacement. I started my new job, and due to when I started work in the morning and my new supervisor started work in the morning, I had some extra time. I was going to finish up some things. My new boss was super accommodating with that plan, but my old boss took away the access I needed. I gave her a detailed list of what I was unable to complete, and she granted me the access I needed to complete those tasks. Too late. I was already knee-deep in introductory meetings and no longer had the time to assist. It's been 3 weeks now, and I couldn't be happier. My old boss and team are falling apart due to my boss being unable to lead a team. An awesome new hire, 2 to 3 months of work for my old boss, is already looking for a new job due to being baited and switched. I know of more people who are fed up with the leadership in my old team beyond my boss who are also looking for new jobs. It sounds to me like around the time that your boss set up the meeting with HR to discuss what needs to be done for a promotion, they might have caught wind that you were interviewing with another department, and they were trying to keep you in their department by having this meeting and making it seem like you were going to get that promotion you wanted. Does anybody else here feel like that was the "oh, I'm screwed" point for that boss? Comment down below. If there's one thing that for sure is happening right now, it's that there really isn't company loyalty anymore. It used to be that people would get a job with a company and expect to be with that company for their whole career. But these days, people jump from company to company. There is no loyalty, and there's a whole lot of horrible bosses that make people want to leave. I've said this before in previous videos, but I think that most people leave companies because of bad bosses, not because the job itself is horrible. I've definitely been there myself, where I've been in a job that I absolutely love, but the boss was an absolutely horrible person. Oh, and screw you, Rick. Check out both OPs linked in the description down below. I thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.